Hi there and welcome to Lesson 1. In this lesson we're going to be creating our very first digital scrapbook page. If you've never used Photoshop before, we're at the perfect starting point. So I'm here in Photoshop Elements, but everything that I'll show you is exactly the same in the full version of Photoshop. Where anything will differ, I'll show you where and what the difference is. For now, what our main objective is to open up our digital quick page and open up our photograph and add those two together to combine them into one digital page. Then we're going to add in some type, and then I'll show you how to save these off in 3 different ways. So the main interface here is really important. Our layout is going to open right here in the document window. And then we'll be able to take advantage of the layers palette here to arrange the items that we're going to place in here. So let's go ahead and get our layout open. We'll come up to File and Open. And this is going to open up a dialog box that allows you to look somewhere in your file system. You've seen these before, I'm sure. So let's go out to wherever it is that you downloaded our course materials, and we'll grab our quick page from there. So I've got mine right here. We're going to look for the file called JSUR Quick Page 01 and click Open. So our layout comes in here and it kind of looks like it took over the whole screen. And that's actually a good thing because we want lots of space to be able to see this layout with. Now one other item, let's go ahead and turn our ruler bar on. If we come up to View and Rulers, you'll be able to see those down the left-hand side and across the top. So you can see that this scrapbook page is a very standard size that if you're a paper scrapbooker, you're going to recognize. It's actually a 12-inch by 12-inch file. So it will fit perfectly inside of your 12 by 12 page protectors if you have collections of paper pages, or you can begin an album and they'll fit perfectly into those 12 by 12 page protectors. So what we've got here is only one layer over here in the layers palette. Remember how we talked about the digital quick page starting point for a layout really is the easiest one to start with because everything is predefined for us. So we've got this really pretty color scheme here, lots of different colors going on, a really cute title, and you can see our space for a photograph. Everything is already designed for us and it's already been flattened down, so we really can't make any changes. So this is where that ease and convenience trades off with a little bit of a lack of flexibility. I think that's okay though, because this page is really cute. So all we need to do at this point is actually open up a photograph and slip it into this little window here, add in some type, and we're done. So the first thing that we want to recognize here is what is this checkerboard background? This is actually Photoshop's way of displaying transparency. So it's telling you that nothing is in that little hole right there, and it actually is showing all the way back to the back of the layout. So if we were to put anything in here, that's what would be showing. Let's go ahead and grab our photograph. File and Open. And here's where you're going to navigate to your Photos directory and choose a photograph that you'd like to put inside of this layout. It's a little bit of a horizontal photo orientation, so you might choose a horizontal photo. I've got one here in our directory just to make it easy for me, so I'm going to open that one. So Photoshop is going to open that photograph, and that's going to come in and look like it's taken over the whole screen and that your layout has disappeared. But it hasn't. It's just been hidden by this particular document. So you can see right now that we've got 2 tabs up here at the top of our screen. The first one is our layout and the second one is our photograph. Our photo has only one layer on it as well, as will any JPEG photo. Any JPEG file is going to be flattened down onto one single layer. That makes it easy to send it back and forth to a printer and to be able to transfer it around online. So our goal here is to actually move our photograph onto our layout document. That way that we can combine them into one single file. So we're going to select our Move tool. It's the first one right over here in the toolbar. Looks like a little crosshairs. And with our Move tool selected, all we need to do is just click down somewhere on that photograph and then hold down on your left mouse button. We're holding down, and we're going to hover right over that tab until Photoshop switches it over. And then we're going to pull down, and you can see I've still got a little plus sign there, and then drop it off. So very easy to move things back and forth as long as you don't let go before you hit this tab and switch over. Otherwise, it'll think you're trying to copy it into this document and it won't let you. So once we have our photograph here, you can see that my photograph is actually way too big for that little window. So in addition to needing to put this photo underneath our layout, we'll also need to resize it. Let's go ahead and reposition first. So you can see right here in the layers palette, now we have two different layers. We had our quick page layer, and then we added in our photograph, and by default, Photoshop always adds any new layer right above whatever one you had clicked on. And if there's only one, it will add it above that one. So that's just kind of something to plan for as you begin the work of combining all of these things together. So our job now is actually to rearrange these. You can go either way. Either you can grab on to the layer that's at the bottom and push it up, or you can grab onto the layer that's at the top and pull it down. Doesn't matter at all. And by grab, I literally mean grab. It actually turns into a little grabby hand when I click on this and begin to move. So, grabby hand, we're going to go downward, and you can see right there that it changes with that little black bar. That's how you know you've gone far enough and you can let go. It may take a little bit of kind of finessing that before you can figure out exactly where to go and where to stop so that it drops it off, but that is the way to rearrange. Sometimes Photoshop can be very tweaky about different things. You have to be sort of pretty detailed about some things, and it's just something to get used to. So once we have moved our photograph underneath our page, now it's time to resize, because having just an eyeball here isn't as desirable as having his whole face. So what I'm going to do, you can see these little, when I have my photograph layer targeted here in the layers palette, it's highlighted with blue. When I have that targeted, you can see that the bounding area, or this kind of highlight right here, shows me the edges of my photograph. And so in order to resize, all I need to do is come up to one of these corner ones, not a side, never, never, never a side, always a corner, and click down. And now I've entered what's called transform mode. Basically, Photoshop is now expecting me to either resize by clicking on one of the corners and dragging in or out, or to rotate by hovering on one of the corners and pulling this left or right around in a circle. I actually can't do anything else until I complete or confirm this transform. That's what this little checkbox is right down here. Now in the full version of Photoshop, you're not going to get the checkbox, but you still have to commit this change. So here in Photoshop Elements, all we need to do is click down on one of those corner transform handles and pull it down. Everything stays in proportion, and I can just resize and reposition without needing to do anything else. In the full version of Photoshop, as you're pulling downward, you need to hold down your Shift key, and that's going to keep the height and width of your photograph in proportion to each other. I don't know why that extra step is required for the full version of Photoshop, but there it is. Here in Photoshop Elements, we can just pull down on those transform handles or pull up on the corner. Always, always, always on the corner. If we pull on a side, all we're going to do is stretch the photograph either vertically or horizontally, and that's never what we want to do. So once we have this kind of down where we want it in size, you can see that we're still kind of hanging out the background here, and that's perfectly fine. Now we can maybe rotate this a little bit because our photo frame is rotated. So all I need to do now is just hover on this corner out here. You can see my cursor turned into that little double arrow icon. Now we can rotate this. And when we're happy with our resize, our rotate, and our reposition, now all we need to do is hit the Enter key and that commits that.